Sometimes, the universe has a way of evening the scales. This is one of those stories. This opinion is terrible. My boss told me, his voice dripping with disdain. He'd been practicing law for just 3 years, and somehow the firm had assigned me to him for training. He was supposed to teach me, junior counsel, how to become a litigator. But there was a problem. Several problems, actually. My boss knew virtually no law. His writing was atrocious. Rambling, unclear, unprofessional. For a litigator, that's like strikes 1 and 2 right there. But strike 3 was the most damning of all. He was terrified of the courtroom. I'll never forget the day he took me to assignment court. Just assignment court, where all you do is set a trial date. Nothing more. When his turn came to speak, his hands were trembling. Actually trembling. This man was supposed to be my mentor, and he couldn't even handle the most basic court appearance without falling apart. "What's wrong with what I wrote?" I asked, genuinely confused. "Not what I asked for," he said coldly, turning away from me without explanation. But when I went back and checked his email from 2 weeks earlier, my heart sank. The opinion I'd written was exactly, word for word, what he had requested. I knew what was happening. I'd seen this before. He was going to delete my time entries for writing that memo, then claim he'd done the work himself. This would leave me dangerously short of my monthly billing quota. Worse still, I knew that memo would end up on a partner's desk with his name on it, not mine. How did I know this for certain? Well, our firm was ahead of its time with technology. We had this sophisticated internal network system, email capabilities that most firms could only dream of. But what they had in technology, they lacked in security. It didn't take me long to learn how to navigate through the firm's files and discover things I probably wasn't supposed to see. Things like evidence that my boss had been stealing my work for months. My boss was everything you'd picture when you think of a successful downtown lawyer. His shoes gleamed like mirrors. He wore custom-tailored suits because daddy's money afforded him that luxury. Everyone just assumed he was destined for partnership. Meanwhile, I was headed nowhere special. Maybe he thought that gave him the right to mess with me. If so, that was his first mistake. I couldn't stand having my billable hours manipulated. It wasn't just frustrating, it was dangerous for my career. I was already being labeled as one of the junior associates who doesn't bill enough hours, and the partner who headed our team was breathing down my neck about it. So I went to that partner. I explained what was happening, showed him the evidence, and he basically patted me on the head and sent me away. It was like being back in middle school. Showing up with bruises and having the principal say, "Boys will be boys. You'll just have to work harder or smarter," the partner told me with a dismissive shrug. I couldn't work harder. I was already pulling the typical lawyer schedule. 6 brutal days a week, every week. But work smarter? Now that was something I could do. That night, as December snow began to fall outside my tiny apartment window, I hatched a plan. Christmas was coming, and I decided my boss deserved a very special present. It arrived on his desk December 24th, in the form of what appeared to be a memo from the senior partner he reported to. Now, this partner was old school, didn't trust computers, did everything on paper with his secretary's help. So when my boss walked in that morning and found a memo from the partner containing a legal research assignment, nothing seemed unusual. The memo looked absolutely authentic because, well, I'd spent considerable time making sure it would. I'd studied the partner's writing style, his preferred format, even the specific letterhead he used. My boss read it over, then walked to the little cubicles where us junior associates worked like worker bees. He handed me what appeared to be the same memo, except his secretary had retyped it. Now the assignment was coming from him to me instead of from the partner to him. The assignment was massive. A deep dive into admiralty law, its relationship to common law, combined with complex constitutional questions about division of powers. obscure, technical, time-consuming research that would take weeks to complete properly. But this is enormous, I said, letting my voice carry just the right amount of distress. And I'm supposed to be away for the holidays. Can't someone else handle this? Is it really that urgent? The forged memo had emphasized how incredibly urgent this matter was. But there was no way my boss could double-check with the partner. Why? Because the partner had left for vacation the day before. That's exactly why I'd waited until December 24th. No can do, my boss said with what I could swear was satisfaction in his voice. This is critical. Just let HR know about the overtime. Maybe they'll give you time and a half or something. He turned and walked away, probably thinking he'd completely ruined my Christmas. But here's what my boss didn't know. The previous year, I'd written a comprehensive paper for a third-year law course that covered, well, essentially the exact same topic as this urgent research assignment. The paper was sitting on an old floppy disk in my desk drawer. So my work consisted of finding that disk, updating it slightly, and creating what appeared to be an incredibly detailed, extensively researched memo on Admiralty law, complete with citations going back centuries all the way to Lord Coke's era. I assembled the memo, then took my holidays exactly as planned. I wasn't traveling anywhere, couldn't afford to, but I spent time with family and stayed in town. Throughout the break, I made sure to stop by the office periodically, send a few emails, establish my presence, and carefully document all the hours I was supposedly spending on this massive research project. When the holidays ended, I was back in my cramped little cubicle, drowning in the usual pile of work, when my boss approached. He was dressed to impress that day even more than usual. One of his custom suits with a gold tie pin, matching cufflinks, and that expensive watch he loved to flash. He was clearly preparing for something important. "Where's that memo?" he demanded. "You were supposed to have it on my desk first thing this morning. I'm going into a major meeting at noon." "Just finished it," I said casually, handing him the substantial document that was still warm from the printer. My boss took the memo, felt its impressive weight in his hands, and smiled. The kind of smile that said he was imagining the praise he'd receive for this brilliant work. Then he turned and walked away without so much as a thank you. Just before lunch, the fireworks began. I heard a commotion echoing down the hallway. A very loud, very angry voice shouting something unrepeatable. Then a door flew open with such force I thought it might come off its hinges. It was the senior partner, and he was absolutely furious. "Get in here," he screamed at my boss. "Now. Right now." I had the distinct pleasure of watching my boss scramble down that hallway like a scared child being called to the principal's office. "What on earth is this?" the partner bellowed, standing in his doorway and holding my handiwork at arm's length with just his thumb and forefinger, as if touching it might contaminate him somehow. My boss mumbled something inaudible, and the partner ushered him inside. Through the closed door, I could hear more shouting, then muffled excuses, then even more shouting from the partner. Then the door burst open again. "You too," the partner said, pointing directly at me. "Get in here." I practically sprinted down that hallway. "Did you write this memo?" the partner demanded, thrusting the document toward me. I took it and examined it carefully. "Yes, I wrote this. Someone removed my name from the cover page, but otherwise, it's entirely my work. I spent my entire Christmas vacation on it. Is there something wrong with it?" The partner's face turned an alarming shade of red. "Something wrong with it? I'll tell you what's wrong with it. It's completely useless. Absolutely, totally useless." I explained calmly that I had followed my boss's instructions precisely, and that I'd logged over 100 billable hours working on it during my vacation. At this news, the partner looked like he might have a stroke. "Go get me the original memo your boss gave you," he ordered through gritted teeth. I fetched it immediately. When the partner read the forged assignment memo, his face went from red to purple. "You can leave," he told me quietly. and I got out of there as fast as humanly possible. From my little cubicle, I couldn't hear every word of the verbal demolition that followed. But over the next few days, the office grapevine filled in all the delicious details. The partners were absolutely livid that my boss had wasted over 100 hours of a junior associate's time on what was obviously an elaborate prank. How had he not realized he was being pranked? How could he be so completely clueless? The beautiful part? I wasn't blamed for anything. After all, I had simply been working under my boss's direct supervision, following his explicit instructions. My boss didn't get fired, but the aftermath was everything I could have hoped for. The partner ordered me to send him copies of any future work I did for my boss, effectively ending the memo theft immediately. My boss stopped deleting my time entries, and as a cherry on top, I received a substantial bonus for sacrificing my vacation to complete such important research. I never did enjoy working at that firm, but whenever things got particularly difficult, I'd think back to what I came to call the case of the forged memo. And you know what? That memory never failed to bring a smile to my face. Sometimes, justice has a sense of humor. Like, subscribe and share.